Welcome to this month's episode of the World of Roofing podcast, hosted by John Kenny of Cotney Consulting and Andrew Rowley of roofmapping.com, where we will introduce you to a new roofing industry artisan from around the world.
All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to our next episode of the World in Roofing. I know you're saying, whoa, somebody's missing. Yes, Andrew's out today. He's actually out on assignment. So we're going to miss him today, but he wanted us to continue on. So we're going to do today's episode. And today I have Troy, and I'm going to let Troy introduce himself in a minute because he's a really, really great guest to have on here. I don't even want to spoil the surprise of all the things that Troy has done and is doing in our industry. So Troy, take it away.
Thank you very much, John, and happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me. It's actually an honor to be on your podcast.
Our pleasure.
I watch it all the time. So yeah, my name is Troy Ferreira, and I'm the technical director with the Canadian Roofing Contractors Association, which is similar to the NRCA, the National Roofing Contractors Association, who are good friends and partners of ours. And I've been here with the CRCA for approximately 5 years now. My past before CRCA, I was working as a consultant, a roof consultant, doing roof assessments, field inspections, doing a lot of re-roofing jobs, a lot of repairs and whatnot. Before I was a consultant, I worked with a commercial contractor, one of the biggest ones in North America. I worked as a coordinator and also in the service department as a superintendent, running crews and scheduling different crews and doing repairs and roof replacements and chasing leak calls and all that kind of fun stuff. And but I didn't actually start out in the roofing industry. My construction career, when I was 20 years old approximately, I started out in shingling, just as a shingling roofer for a couple of years, and then I moved on to framing and carpentry. I worked as a framer, where we worked in subdivisions and putting up just the frames of homes, just popping those up really quickly. I moved on from there into interior finishing and interior carpentry, where I worked with a renovation company for quite a few years, where I quite liked doing that type of work. Then in my 30s, I went back to school to get my construction engineering technologist diploma. And right after school, I kind of just fell into the commercial roofing industry, where I started working with a commercial roofing contractor, like I said. And the rest is history. I love the roofing industry. I find it's a kind of a niche industry in the construction industry compared to all the other trades. It's a tough industry. It's hard work, but it's a necessary industry. Roofing it's a big part of the building envelope.
Yep.
Protects everyone, keeps everyone dry, and keeps everyone safe from the elements. So yeah, I quite enjoy and the people in the roofing industry, such as yourself and many people who I meet, always willing to share ideas and talk and just collaborate on what's going on. And it's great to speak to you down in the States a lot, so I can get the perspective of what's going on down there compared to up here in Canada. We're similar in a lot of ways, but we're also different in quite a few ways, aren't we?
Yeah, and that's what this whole thing's about. That's why it is the world of roofing, and I love to be able to bring the different perspectives to our audience. And your story is not unlike many of us and many that we talk to in here. Once you get into roofing, you're always in it, and that's what we like the younger generation, coming in. There's great career paths, and that's what we're trying to do with this podcast, is to actually, accentuate on those areas and let people know there's a great opportunity, and it's fun. It is a lot of fun. We get to, like you say, I've had the pleasure of meeting you guys up there and attending the conference last year, and that's great stuff that you get a chance to hear different ideas, because you are right. That was a great statement. We're very similar in a lot of ways, but yet there's a lot of things that are different, and it's great to learn what makes us different, how we do things in different areas of the continent and the country and the world. And then but the roots are all the same, which makes it so interesting.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
one of the things I want to ask you is, when you got tell us a little bit about the work that you do within the organization with the contractors and that.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm the technical director, and I support our members, and not just our members, the industry in general, with technical issues with regards to roofing. We support all of our members, obviously. A big part of what we do is we collaborate with the NRC here in Canada, which is the National Research Council of Canada, who they take on a lot of the research in construction and in different areas of construction. So we're heavily involved with the research part with regards to roofing and building envelope. I sit on approximately 8 different committees with the National Research Council on different research projects that are ongoing right now. A lot of these projects are related to energy efficiency and adapting to climate change, and building our buildings better and more resilient to last for the future. And the future, they're looking at the future climatic loads these days. They're not looking at the past anymore, because you can't count on the past loads. You have to look at the future because it's so different now. So that's a big part of what we do to support the industry. As Wendy Fraser and myself, we're the technical department at the CRCA, and we both, between us, I think we sit on approximately 30 different committees. We sit on committees with the CSA, the ASTM, ULC. I'm also heavily involved with IBEC, which you guys have down in the States. That's where they're located, but they've come up to Canada now, and we have several chapters up here. And the chapter that I'm vice president of, the Quebec Ontario chapter, which is the newest chapter. I'll be president starting in January. But we work closely with them as well, and as well with the NRCA. The NRCA collaborates with us on a lot of the research projects that we do up here. They also collaborate with us on we have a national technical committee, which you've been a part of, John, and it's an honor to have you there, where we have members, our members from across the country, who come together twice a year to collaborate and share different issues and different technologies that are going on in their areas. So we do a lot of work to try to better the roofing industry in general, not just for our members, but for everybody.
Yeah, then we talked one podcast that prior to this one, the gentleman on there, he spent some time in roofing in Canada before he went off to Australia, and we brought that up, and it was Red Seal roofing. He got up there. I know a lot, especially in our U.S. Listeners, and probably even in the European listeners, don't know exactly probably what the Red Seal may be. Tell us a little bit how that is used in our roofing industry in Canada.
Sure, absolutely. So I was heavily involved with CRCA. We were heavily involved, and so were all of our members, in the development of the Red Seal standard for the roofer trade. That was a couple of years ago. We produced that standard, and so the Red Seal is the gold standard for certification in any trade. So I think there's approximately 54 Red Seal trades where you can. It's through a combination of classroom and practical and on-site work. It's usually around a 3-year training course, both in the field and in the office. And once you have that certification, like I said, it's considered the gold standard. And what it allows you to do is move around in Canada from province to province with that certification and work anywhere. Whereas if you don't have it, you might have an issue working in the different provinces. So we helped a lot with developing that standard. Roofer is a Red Seal trade, and as you said earlier, it is a great trade. We're trying to promote it as much as we can in Canada. We have the same issues as you guys have with labor shortages, right? And not just in construction, but just in a lot of different areas, there's labor shortages. But especially in roofing up here, we're really feeling it. That's the number one issue that our members are seeing, is just a shortage of labor. And we're doing everything we can. Our members are using immigration. We're trying to promote roofing like you're doing with your podcast. We've jumped on board with the NRCA and National Roofing Week, which is kind of a social media campaign during June, where we try to just kind of advertise roofing and put pictures out there and videos of what everyone's doing to try to show the youth that it is a viable viable trade, unfortunately, it's not the first trade that a lot of kids think of when they're going to go to trade school, or when we do get those few kids that are thinking about the trades, typically they're not thinking about roofing. So, when a lot of people think of roofing, they just think of the people doing your shingles and whatnot. But a lot of people don't understand what goes up on a big building on those flat roofs. And there's a lot of building science involved. There's a lot of technology, especially these days with the AI and the drones and all these kinds of satellite takeoffs that's available. That's what we have to appeal to with the youth, because they're very technology based. And if we can attach, I have two young boys as well, 12 and 16, and I'm trying to steer them towards the trades. It's hard. It's hard. It doesn't seem like they would rather do something on their computer and with AI or something like that, or drop shipping with Amazon. But trying to make them understand that the trades are going to be the high-paying jobs to get in the future.
It is. This is a very high-paying job, and I think we don't do a good enough, voice in our industry. Just really pointing that out. I mean, it's and also too, you don't need to stay in the field your entire career. Field is a great learning place, and I think we're probably some of the strategies that I'm seeing out there is maybe plan on working there for 10 years and then you can move into other. And if we could get that kind of rotation going, that would be very helpful. But I'm glad you brought up the AI part with your sons. I think you're going to see a massive change within the next decade. It's going to be sooner, but within the next decade, I think it's going to be more norm than anything else.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to attract that younger generation because you're going to have robotics driven by AI and different things in our industry. And I think that's going to bring a whole new workforce in. So that was a great point that you brought up.
Yeah, I agree. AI is going to be here to stay. And like I said, my 16-year-old son is actually working on an AI bot. He knows all about these things already. So for them, it's going to be a normal thing. They're going to come up in that environment, right?
Yeah, it's like anything else. Cautiously embrace the technology like any other technology.
Yes.
And it will find its medium, and then we'll be able to work forward with it, I believe.
Yeah.
So what else here that we didn't ask you a whole lot of direct questions. You covered a lot, which is fantastic. But what are some of the struggles that you've seen or currently see in the industry other than labor? Anything like I know you have different areas up there with you have in the different provinces, you definitely have extreme weathers to both ends, the same as we do here in the States. So, but even not on weather, what do you see as the big challenges coming up other than labor?
Other than labor, I think a big challenge has to do with when roof installations happen, the designers are designing the roofs and they're supposed to do all the calculations for things like wind uplift and your R values that are required, and these responsibilities belong to the designer of record, whether it's an engineer or roof consultant, but somebody who's approved and trained to do these calculations and put them on the drawings. So a lot of issues we're having is these responsibilities it's still happening where it's being passed on to the roofer, where there'll be kind of a broad statement saying that the roof must meet all building codes or the wind uplift for the area, and then putting it on the contractors to go and figure that out, which that's not their job. So typically they would have to go and hire someone to do those calculations. And if they don't, and if they take on that responsibility, then they essentially become the designer record. So it's just a little bit of it's downloading of responsibility, which here in Canada, when it comes to wind uplift, it's a big thing. And we have a standard called CSA 123.21, which is wind uplift resistance for membrane roofing systems. And that's just an issue that we hear from our members a lot, that constantly these loads aren't being provided and they're being passed on to the roofer to get, and they become liable if they take on that responsibility. So that's one of the things. I'm not sure if you guys have similar issues up down in the States with wind uplift and who provides that information and where.
Yeah, well, that's his story as old as the age of roofing. I think when it comes to designer responsibility, contractor design responsibility, and there's that huge gray area in there. And I think it's great the work you're doing, educating the contractors on that, because as a contractor, you have to stay out of that. That is not where you want to get your liability in. So I agree there. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you or we didn't cover that you'd like to bring up for our audience?
Sure. I'd just like to mention, so the CRCA has a biannual trade show. It's every 2 years. It's similar to the IRE. Oh, it's just on a smaller scale. It's called Roof Tech, and Roof Tech happens every other year on odd numbered years. So the next one will be in 2025, and it typically occurs in April. And it's really Canada's only major exposition for roofing and building envelope. It's a trade show. We usually have about 150 exhibitors there, and we usually have a few 3,000 to 4,000 pass through the doors. It's a 2 day show typically, so that's something that occurs every other year. Just want everyone to know about that. And also our AGM, our annual general meeting, as you know, it moves around from year to year, and you were at the last one in Newfoundland. The next one will be in beautiful Victoria, BC, and that will be May 10th to 12th. So we're hoping to have a good turnout, and hopefully we can even see you there, John. I know it's a far ways for some people. I've never been there, so I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the CRCA.
Cool. So so a little bit different. So your trade show, that's a little different than what the IRE is. You really concentrate on the education of the products in the field, and you don't really have like the educational stuff. You do that at the AGM, right?
Well, there's also educational. There's also seminars at Roof Tech.
Okay.
So on each of the 2 days before the show starts, that's when the seminars are. So that's another potential area for you to potentially come up to Roof Tech. You've never been to a Roof Tech, I don't think.
No,
John?
actually, when I got involved, we just ran into the pandemic,
Yeah.
right about coming out of that. But well, that's very interesting. So anybody that is used to going to the IRE, and you are a listener, and you may be on that fringe of the northern border, that sounds like a great opportunity to get a chance to cross over and meet our friends up in Canada. So definitely keep that in mind with the education seminars, 2 days, and then the floor show. I know you do have a lot of great things. One question I do have for you before we break, I know I've talked to it. I get this question all the time. Built-up roofing, asphalt built-up, is still very active in Canada in comparison to the market share, I believe, here in the U.S. Is that correct?
It still happens. It's on the decline. The big push in Canada is also to go flameless, and a lot of the manufacturers are pushing it to go flameless. So trying to move away from those those hot asphalt applications. However, I can't see it going away completely, especially in, like you said, some of these areas in Canada are very cold, and certain systems just don't work as well as others. But the push is to go in that direction and away from torches and hot asphalt and all that stuff. So, but we still have it. Yes, still one of my favorite systems, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I cut my teeth on it as well. I understand. Well, great. So, Troy, thank you so much for being a guest today. Always informative, and as always, you're a friend. It's great to have a chance to chat with you as always as well. And to our audience, I want to thank you once again for all the great followership. We're really increasing. You're making us one of the #1 podcasts in what we do. So I want to thank you all for that, and we'll continue on for another great season coming up. And we'll catch you on the next one. So thank you very much, and see you all later.
Thanks so much, John.